Hey, what's up, YouTube? It is Groovy Kev and Stet Wett here again today, and we're going to be breaking down the top 12, or the first round of the 2021 Fantasy Baseball Mock Draft. So basically, we're gonna try to be pretty quick on it. We're gonna explain why. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna discuss a little bit, and it's gonna be a conjoined list between me and him.
Yeah, we got obviously we're doing if it was the first 12 picks of a first round, but we got I think what is it, about 20 or 18 something like that over here.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of show the players we thought were in the top level of the MLB.
The superstars.
And just to
basically.
show who we picked and who we didn't pick. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
most of y'all probably assume, what about this guy? What about that guy? And if y'all, if there's some names we missed out on, you think, comment below and let us know which ones you think are better than others. But let's start off with first overall pick. I think we kind of mutually agreed on this. This is, I feel like, controversial in a lot of people, but we went with Fernando Tatis Jr.
Not because
first overall pick.
Not just because he's a Braves player, but I mean he's so young. He's had a couple seasons where he's done this consistently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean he's the guy right now. And of course the first 4 or 5 picks we've talked about, there's a tier list, and they're probably tier 1. They're going to be the top guys that we're going to discuss in these first couple picks. But any one of these guys can go first. But with this guy, especially if it's dynasty, because of his age, he's going to be the first overall pick for sure.
Absolutely. And like you said, us being Braves fans, I mean, we're not trying to be biased here. And I feel like we're not. Acuna's son, he's literally our age, and he's performed at a highest level you can in the MLB, and he has consistently. And that's why I feel like he's has to be the number one. On to the number 2 pick. We mutually agreed Fernando Tatis Jr. This one I feel like they tend to be flip-flopped, I feel like, between a lot of people because the monster year that Tatis had last year, it's the first time he's kind of shined. I mean, he's still young. I think this might be his first or second full season. And, it was a shortened season last year. And, yes, he did really good, but in my opinion, I think Acuna would go over him.
Yeah, and because of his crazy season, a lot of people even want to take him in the first overall pick. But since this is just 2021, you could argue that Tatis could be the first overall pick. But if this was Dynasty, for sure, Tatis wouldn't be in the top 2 or 3, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Just because of all the players that have done it consistently throughout the years. But Tatis, I agree, yeah, definitely number 2.
Absolutely. On to the number 3 pick. This, I feel like the next 3, kind of the top, usually the top 5 it tends to be, is very controversial, especially this year in my opinion. But we went with Jacob deGrom as the number 3 pick. Mainly, in my opinion, I just feel like I've asked a bunch of my friends, a bunch of baseball fans this. I'm like, who's the most dominant pitcher in the game right now? And in my opinion, I go with deGrom. A lot of people go with Garrett Cole. A lot of people go with Max Scherzer. Walker Buehler starting to get on up there. But in my opinion, deGrom is and has been for a long time right now the most dominant pitcher in the game. Like right now, I was watching this morning. They said he's been hitting 102 on the gun in spring training right now. In spring training, like this dude's pumping 100 plus. And, I mean, just the stuff he has is the most dominant. He can be really good when it comes to fantasy. The only thing with him, he's been on the Mets, and everybody knows in recent years the Mets have not been that good. This year might be a different story, but he always has that sub-3, sub-2 sometimes ERA, and then
The Mets always lean on him, really.
Yeah, and, I mean, he's the only guy they had, and that's why he usually gets like 10, 12 losses a year. But this year might be different. I think you're looking at Cy Young, possibly MVP, honestly, from deGrom, if it keeps going that way.
Right, and because this is fantasy, you'll notice in most fantasy teams you'll have a crazy amount of starting pitchers. And that's what makes deGrom also very valuable, because you have so many starting pitchers, and whenever you can lean on someone like him, he can play as good as 2 or 3 players that are in your pitching lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. On to the number 4 pick. This was another one that was kind of controversial, kind of debated between me and him too, but I think we kind of came down to the opinion that Mookie Betts was going to be the number 4. Mainly, a lot of people had him higher. A lot of people had him 2, sometimes 1, just looking at different mock drafts. But in my opinion, like I said, Ronald Acuna, Tatis being the first 2. I think the next best hitter would be Mookie, just because he's still young. He's still performing on a brand new team. I mean, everybody saw him last year, even in the postseason, during the regular season. He's performed in and out, and I think he's still got a lot left of him to be one of the top tier hitters in the game.
Right, I agree. And with Mookie, you also got to think that he's on a loaded team, so they're always going to be on base, which is a plus for fantasy as well.
Absolutely. On to the 5th pick. This is about where, the top 5 comes, down to an end. And I think this year a lot of people got Mike Trout being that 5 or 6. In our opinion, we got him at 5. I mean, it's Mike Trout. He's still the best in the game, regardless of, his age. I think he's starting to get into, be 30, 31, 29, somewhere around there. But he's still performing, I mean, he's putting up the numbers that everybody needs. And, I mean, he's still a solid pick to have in fantasy.
Man, this man is so thick, can't even fit him in the box.
Can't fit him in the box.
Is he the highest paid player right now still?
Nah, I think when it comes to rankings, the players, aside from fantasy, people still pick Mike Trout to be the best player in baseball right now. Aside from fantasy, just raw numbers, raw talent on the field, and that I definitely agree with. Any true baseball fan can agree Mike Trout's the best player.
And you got to add in his experience and his leadership.
Oh
which
yeah,
is
absolutely.
What makes him
I mean, he's been in the majors since he was 19, and he's performed ever since. So it's hard not to pick him.
Right.
On to the 6th pick. This is kind of where we got a lot of debating to be happened, but I think I would go Juan Soto here. It was either between him and Garrett Cole, but just Garrett Cole's been, he's been good, but I think Juan he's young. I mean, he's a little younger than us, and he's playing such a high level, and just the numbers I think he could put up this year, and his next full season, it could be insane.
Right, yeah, I agree. And if this was Dynasty, because this is 2021, we have Mike Trout up there. If this was Dynasty, we'd have Juan Soto probably in the top 4, right?
Absolutely. Top 4, top 3 have to be. He'd have to be probably ahead of the
He's
drum,
just so
in my
young.
opinion.
22.
Yeah, he's 22 years old, and everybody saw him in 19 when they won the World Series, what he did, and the regular season stats that he had. this.
What was that fact you were just telling me?
I was telling him that year, everybody knows he had a home run off of Garrett Cole and Verlander that year. They were with the Astros in the same series, and he was I guess at that point 20 years old. Mm-hmm. He was 20 years old and hit a home run.
20.
Yeah, off of the 2 best pitchers in the game, arguably.
It's wild.
But it's just crazy to me. But he's got a lot of upside coming into fantasy.
And number 7, we can agree it's Garrett Cole, right?
7, I would go with Garrett Cole because it was between them 2 for 6 or 7. But I would definitely go with Garrett Cole.
You would say he's your probably second favorite pitcher?
Absolutely. That's what I was saying. A lot of people, when I ask them who's the best pitcher in the league, a lot of people say Garrett Cole just because of the years he's had and postseason years he's had. But he would definitely fall under the second best pitcher because he's about like DeGrom, has the experience, has the leadership, has the stuff. He's still electrifying.
Good smile.
Great smile. Great hair. Used to have a good beard, not more. Have to pick Freddie.
Freddie Freeman, really?
I would have to pick Freddie.
No
you
bias?
look at his stats. No bias. Looking at his stats, he's better and better every year. His average goes up. He tends to have 100 plus RBIs, 90 plus RBIs. He finally won an MVP in a shortened season. And the Braves have got a lot of pickups this year. I think it's crazy what they're going to be able to do this year. Don't get me wrong, I love Jose Ramirez, but
what the offseason the Braves had, I can agree with you.
Yeah, I just feel like I feel like Jose's not far behind him, but Freddie has to be up there. Just like I said, non-biased, but I think it's going to be a good year for Freddie.
But now we can go with Jose Ramirez for number 9, or would you still not even put him there?
All
right,
number 9. That's arguably.
Let's go.
It could be. I'll say this. It could be. Oh man.
Let's do this. Let's break these guys into 2 tiers. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. So we got Jose Ramirez. Oh.
Yeah.
We'll put Jose Ramirez over here. So we'll just put tier 1, tier 2. Just 2 different tiers. Okay.
Right now, yeah, Shane Bieber tier 1. How many are left? 4, 8, 10, 12. So we'll have 6 and 6. I gotta say, here I can do it real quick.
Oh, you're gonna do it? Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Well, you'd put Bellinger in the tier 1?
Mm-hmm.
fantasy.
I mean, we could obviously discuss this right now. I was trying to do it really quick, but honestly, I'm very confident about the whole tier 1 right here.
Mm-hmm.
Probably maybe Bellinger, maybe Darren Otto would be. What do you think? Who do you think should be swapped out?
So I was reading, and like Jose Ramirez, they're looking to lean on Shane Bieber as well. And I would even argue that Shane Bieber should be in the top 10 as well.
I was about to say Shane Bieber over Freeman, but I was just he had a good year this past year, obviously in a shortened season. I think before that he had a good year. It's just people that have a fresh, start. You can see them start to maybe increase in their statistics, but it's just hard to say that.
How old is Shane Bieber again?
He's mighty young.
He's mighty young.
So, I mean, who would you swap out then? Because there might be some I agree. I'll tell you, these 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I would agree are tier 1 for what's left.
Okay, so
maybe Darren Otto being on a new team.
I would put Bellinger then on the other tier because he doesn't.
Can I say why?
I just don't see him. If you're gonna look at this, if this is your fantasy football team, and you're like, all right, this is the player that I'm gonna, because your first round pick's always the guy you're gonna lean on.
Yep,
if you're in the late,
absolutely.
If you're later, you're looking for upside. Let's say if this was fantasy football and Nick Chubb was like the 1.11,
okay,
then you would look to lean on Nick Chubb and whoever the 2.02 is.
Okay. So
right?
You're kind of thinking him toward. Okay, I see
so
what you're saying.
can you lean on Cody Bellinger to take you to a fantasy championship? And I don't. And don't get me wrong, he's really good. If this was a player rankings, he would be up there.
Yeah.
But I don't think fantasy wise and looking at the positions that you need to cover, I wouldn't put him in this tier with these guys.
Okay.
I mean,
I just want to see where you're going with it. I mean, take him out and then not replace him. I just want to see who you're going to replace him.
I wouldn't replace him. I'm
okay. I was just trying to split it. Okay, so you're saying that's the big difference. Okay.
Yeah.
So he might be on the front end of a tier 2.
Right.
Though.
My whole goal is we have 4 spots. We have 5 players.
I got that. Yeah, that makes sense. I get that. That's fine.
But
he'd probably be like, if you're just saying on a front end of a tier 2, probably more than likely. Yeah. Or maybe towards the middle. But I get it.
But I
can live with that. Yeah.
But I would have Shane Bieber as the next pick. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, if we're going, this is pick 9. He has to be in the top 10 in my opinion.
I've seen a bunch where he's went in the 1.12, 2.01, and I honestly
I just like I said. I mean, I could see why. I mean, this past year, first signing he's ever won. He's only been in the majors a few years. Good. I mean, he's done good, but just people don't believe in him. But I like him. He has great stuff. His spring so far has been pretty good. So I mean, I would agree with that being put him at number 9.
Now, since you know more than me about baseball, all right, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to kind of play devil's advocate. All right, so we have 4 players left. All right, give me one reason why they should be the 1.10, each one of them.
All right, real quick, Trey Turner. He's done good. He's hit for average. He's fast. He has some stolen bases. This past year, he hit for a lot more power, a lot more RBIs. I just feel like he's I just feel like he has a good lot of upside this year, in my opinion. He's on that track to perform, outshine other players in the league, in my opinion. On to Darren Otto, people could argue because his offense is kind of here and there, but I think him with a new team and a new lineup, a good lineup, in my opinion, it can help him out more in the long run to hit for more average, hit for more homers, hit for more RBIs, more hits, more runs scored. Everything in the offensive category. On to Lindor, same thing. I think the Mets, in my opinion, when he first left, I was like, it's going to hurt him because, like I said, the Mets have never been that good. They made a lot of pickups. They got James McCann behind the plate now, which is a great stick. They still got Pete Alonso at first. I mean, I think it complements him a lot more to where he could hit for more average, more homers, statistically be better. On to Jose Ramirez. I mean, him himself, he's just a superstar in my opinion. And I'm trying to, I was trying to separate from the rest of the players, but I mean, one, he's still a switch hitter. He's still in Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland kind of hits, in my opinion, better from people from the left side, from the right side, and him being both kind of helps out. I just think the numbers he puts up is just a little bit better than the rest of them. Jose Ramirez might be more towards the end of a tier 1, but in my opinion, that's why they're up there.
So based off what you just said, Who was the next one up?
For a pick, who's the next pick up, in my opinion?
Yeah, because they're all pretty similar. You can argue again, like with this tier, with the first five. Yeah. You can argue the same thing with these four guys right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me personally, I would have put Ramirez ahead of Freddy Freeman, so I would obviously put him up at the 1.10. Like I feel obligated.
So you'd have Freeman, or you'd have Ramirez at
just
1.8.
because like I said earlier, they're looking to lean on him, and he's already a superstar in himself.
But I mean, we keep going, but I'm just saying I picked Freeman because, like you said, he's the veteran. He's the veteran of the team now. Mm-hmm. You know, he's the leader. He just won an MVP. I mean, he's got high expectations, but they're going to be one, like you said, to lean on him. Mm-hmm. So, and I think, not to be biased, but I mean, Braves got a lot more weapons than the Indians do.
I was just saying basically over these three guys.
Yeah. I mean,
over Darren Otto and Lindor.
And the next, I just have high hopes for Trey Turner. That's why we want him to go next.
We'll go with your pick. We'll go with Trey Turner.
I just have high hopes for him. I mean, I might be wrong, honestly, but I feel like everybody has that gut feeling about someone they draft, you know, and they're like, oh, he's gonna do it, man. He's gonna do it. I know it, you know. And that's just that. I like Trey Turner. I've always liked the way he's played, so I think it'll work out. But on to pick 11, 1.11. I think this is where we might start. I mean, we could have done last pick, but start dipping into the tier 2 guys.
Over Ramirez and the tier 1 guys?
We could. I mean, there's a reason we put him up there because, I mean, we might not pick him.
Okay.
But, I mean, who would you go with in this?
The only person that I would put over any one of these guys is Story over the tier 1 guys.
Why?
Just because of the season. He's super consistent in the seasons that he's had the past
years.
You're
right. He's an all-around player.
I forget where I was reading it, but on my limited research, I saw where Trevor Story should be the guy, like, especially in drafts. You should be taking Trevor Story over someone like Trey Turner.
I feel like people say that for the fact that he's an all-around player compared to these people.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
good at everything.
He's a shortstop, so I mean, usually shortstops. A guy like him, his size, is gonna be quicker. I mean, you have to be a little quicker playing at shortstop. He tends to not hit for average, but hit for like a 260, 290 guy. But he does hit for power too, and I think him being in Colorado helps that.
Because they don't have many.
Players. It's just a better place to hit in Colorado. But I just don't know, honestly. With Darren Otto gone, I mean, I think Rocky's lost a good bit of people. Darren Otto being the main guy. They still got Blackie, but that's, I mean.
I'm going to do this. You tell me if
you know,
this
I mean,
I'm going to do this right here. Boom. At the 1.12 on the turn.
Ramirez being 1.12? Mm-hmm. What do you think, Story being 1.11?
I would put Story 1.11, but if you wouldn't put Story, I would also say Darren Otto.
I could agree with Darren Otto. I definitely agree with Ramirez being where he's at.
He should be on the turn. He can go anywhere in the top or the bottom 6 or even the first round, the first.
Yeah, I could see him. I would put him more. Yeah, 1.11, 1.12, but that's just me. But I could agree with that. Honestly.
We're keeping Story at number 11.
I could agree with that. It's just I don't believe in him as much as other people do. But we'll see. I mean, I like Aaron. I mean, Darren Otto's offense has never been. Everybody knows him for his glove. He has a platinum glove. I mean, he's won multiple gold gloves. So that's what people know him for. But if you're thinking fantasy baseball and numbers and, you know, offensive categories, I could agree with that. Mm-hmm. Only person I would maybe throw in there, maybe big bats like, you know, Bellinger, Yelich, people like that.
I would honestly even put you can argue Yelich. You should even be in the discussion. I mean, just let us know in the comments below, and always leave a like. It helps the channel grow. Give us a follow, share if you can, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right, boys.